Starting up a business is hard enough as it is, just by itself. Imagine if you didn't really speak English very well. Maybe you weren't from this country and you're trying to start up a wholesale business. Well, in this next video, we interview my good friend Emmerich. And Emmerich shares his story of how he started a wholesale business after going through Dan and Dylan's wholesale formula course. And he shares all of his ups and downs, his trials and tribulations. And I don't want to surprise his story, but I'm gonna surprise you a little bit. He ended up making $700,000. He did about $700,000 in sales after his first year on Amazon, doing wholesale, working with Dan and Dylan of the wholesale formula. So if you want to get a behind the scenes look at what it's like to start a wholesale business with very little experience, not much money, barely even able to speak English, you don't know anybody, no resources, this is going to be an amazing interview. So with that being said, let's cue the intro and get into this video.
What's going on, everybody on YouTube? Steve here, Raiken Profit over at RaikenProfit.com, coming back to you with another video. And I'm here with my friend Emmerich Monello. And Emmerich is a wholesale seller. He's been selling wholesale on Amazon for a little over 3 years. And his first year, he did $700,000 in sales. His second year, he did $750,000 in sales. And then his third year, he did over $1.1 million in sales in 2018, which I believe is over $2.5 million in 3 years, which is really impressive. So we brought Emmerich on the show today to talk a little bit about how he got started, his business model, and just to give you guys a ton of tips and tricks and value. So Emmerich, what's going on, man? Did I get that introduction correct?
That was good, Steve. How are you?
Hey, man, I am doing fantastic. So really excited to chat with you. Do you mind sharing with people a little bit about your story and kind of how you got started with wholesale? I mean, you hear a lot of people like my audience, Emmerich, a lot of them are doing eBay and Amazon, retail arbitrage, private label, but you don't hear a lot about wholesale. So I would love to know your story and how you got started.
Sure. So it was in 2015, and I started with RAOA as well, like retail arbitrage, online arbitrage. So actually, I didn't know before 2015 that we could sell on Amazon. I had zero idea we could do this. And so one day, my girlfriend came to me and she was like, "Hey, I watched that video on like someone called Jessica LaRue. You probably know her, right? So very well known in the field." And so she was explaining her story and all that, and I was like, "What? What is this?" so I was super interested to it, and I read as much as possible, and then went through all the all the loops and all this stuff that everybody knows. But tried retail arbitrage. We tried private label first. That's crazy. So we tried something like some kind of baby bracelets from Lithuania, and it was super cheap. So that was the cool thing. But we didn't do research. We made so many mistakes, man. But it was really great learning experience. We did that in like July of 2015. Then we did retail arbitrage. I did it once. I went to a store, bought some markers, and like my girlfriend, my fiance today is she's like the saver and I'm the spender. So she's like, "Hey, let's buy 10 and try it." And there were like 113, I think, on the shelf. I just put the 113 in the cart. I was like, "This is working. Let's do it." Took me like 3 months to sell them or something. But it was awesome. It was fun to learn, but then we knew it wasn't for us because I could see like how to scale this was going to be like a little bit more difficult in my liking. So I tried online arbitrage because I'm a geek, right? I love computers and stuff. I like staying at home in my pajamas. So so did online arbitrage. It's fun. It's like a video game, right? You go on there, you just buy stuff, resell it. It's kind of fun. But same thing. We did good money with it, but the scalable part and the liabilities that were coming with the arbitrage model didn't really like that, and I wanted to build like a I don't want to be mean. I want to say a real business. It doesn't mean that other businesses are not real, but you know what I'm saying, like a more stable
For sure.
business.
Yep.
And so still researching, watching on YouTube, on Facebook content, and came across these guys. So Dan and Eric at the time with like source sell profit, right? So that was like RA, I believe. Source sales profit was their course on RA. And then so look at the video, and I just connected with the guys, like the way they were talking and the imperfection of it made it so genuine and made me want to connect with them. And so I watched more content about them, and I discovered that they had a wholesale course, learn about the model of their wholesale course. And I was like, hey, this is exactly what I want. It's more like legit. You work with manufacturers and suppliers, and then you get like something more stable than just having always to find new products, to sell and stuff. So, and so that was like the end of 2015, and I missed. They had like a launch in like end of 2015 or something, and I missed it. I was like so pissed. And the next one was like February or something like that. And at the time, it was like a big investment for us to just invest in the course, right? Because we've never done that before. We never bought a course like this. And my fiance went to college. I went to different kind of college, but sure, I'm from France, so it's kind of different. But and so we talked, and we tried to see like, okay, should we do it? What do you think? Because there's a lot of courses online, especially when you look for it. Um, we didn't know. And then we're like, all right, that's fine, let's do it. And so February started that. I devoured the course in probably like a week or less.
So you're talking about the wholesale formula course
Right,
that
the
Dan and
wholesale
Eric put
formula
out.
course,
Got it.
right. And so that the wholesale course, yeah. And I just watched the whole thing every day, all the time. And I was working full time, right? So every night, every lunchtime, every every opportunity I had to just watch the content and just
You're
eat
obsessed.
everything.
It sounds like
Oh
you were
yeah,
committed.
for sure, I was obsessed. And then I didn't even finish the course because there was so much content in it,
Yeah.
and there is so much actionable content that I was probably halfway through it, and I was trying to implement at the same time that it was already running. It was already working and running, and with all the tips and all the strategy that they share in there, right? So I think I finished the course like 3 months later or something. I didn't want to tell them at first because I didn't want to piss them off, but uh, but it worked. And like in March, I stopped any on our arbitrage. I just cold turkey, like stop smoking, right? I just ripped the band-aid and was like, I don't buy any more online arbitrage. Even the thing that works is going to force myself to do wholesale and replace that income with the wholesale income, right? And so I did that. And I had a goal to get to 50,000 in sales per month. So for like two months, maybe 2-3 months, so that I could quit my job and replace my income. I mean, pay my bills, because my income was like higher. It was like 60 grand plus
Right.
all the corporate crap that goes with it. And in August, I was able actually to quit my job, which is awesome.
Wow.
Which is really cool. And it's funny because we wanted to buy a house. And when you're like entrepreneur and stuff like that, it's like buying a house, you don't have W-2s to show up for and stuff, especially when you start a business. It's not that
You need like
easy.
2 years of tax returns and
Right, all that crap. So what I did is I bought a house while I had a job, and I actually quit my job the day I got my keys. So
That's
hopefully
smart.
my employer is not going to see that video, but or my ex-employer. So, but it's a cool story though. It's a cool story. So then quit the job in August, and then went full time and went like kind of all in with this to ramp up the sales to 7, like a little shy of 7, yeah, on the first year. Um, and then yeah, second year discovered that supplier, that main supplier I've been working with. He was actually on a webinar of the wholesale formula, and that was Dan explaining how to source products. And he's sourcing this product, and it's like in the candy category, and he's sourcing product and stuff like that. And he's like, "Hey, look at that one. I would source this." And there's like 200 people on that webinar, right? Or I don't know, like at the time, like 200, 250. I don't know. I don't remember.
Right.
And like hundreds of people are in there. And he's like, "Oh, this product is great." And he looks in the back. He's like, "Oh, they're in Vegas." And I live in Vegas. Oh, they're in Vegas. And he knew I was on because I was like very active in the group.
Yep.
And he's like, "Hey, Emmerich, that one's for you." The next day at 9, I was in their office.
At the candy company's
Oh,
office.
yeah, for sure. I took my car, just drove there.
Wow.
Because, I mean, it's like, I saw the product. There's 200 other 50 people on that thing. I'm like, if I don't go now, it's going to be gone. That product's too good to not take it, right?
What was so good about this product?
The velocity. The velocity was great, and the product was very consistent, but there was a lot of competition on it, like big sellers, big like FBS sellers. And so the price was actually very low, which I didn't know at the time because I didn't know the buying price, right? Before you call the guy to say, "Hey, what's the price?" You don't know what it is, right? So the velocity was great. I mean, when I say great, it's like 20, 30 a day.
Yeah.
20 a day maybe.
That's
so
solid.
it's good, you know. And so then bought that product, but probably like a pallet of it, and took me 3 months to sell it because I didn't want to sell as a loss, and the price wasn't that great. 9 months later, so now we're beginning of 2017, right? The supervisor calls me. He's like, "Hey, you didn't buy from us." And I'm like, I told you it's either you remove all the people on this listing and I can help you make it better, or you give me a better price and we do it another way. He's like, come in my office, we'll talk. I go there and we strike a deal for, I think at the time was like 20 grand worth of inventory, right? So if you buy that many, then you get this price. And I said, the only way I'm doing it is you give me unique UPCs for the product and I put my logo and we change the labels. And that product was great because it was like an assortment of colors, and we decided to do all unique colors. So from one listing, now we got 150 because we did all the variations on that listing. And that's how we blew up that product from like 20 a day to like 5 times that.
Wow. So that's crazy. So, I mean, you went through this course, you took action, you're on a webinar, you found this idea. Next thing you know, you're in the office with them, you're getting some results. 9 months later, you take the deal to a whole nother level. And now you essentially have an exclusive in a sense, and your business really starts to take off. That's crazy. So at this point, you've got a house, right? You've got a house, you've quit your job, you're working full time. How much money do you recommend people start with in order to get into wholesale? Because I know there's a lot of people who are probably watching and they're wondering, 500, 1,000, do I need $20,000? What do you recommend for someone looking to get started with wholesale?
Okay, so if you want to get started with wholesale, I definitely recommend to get through the wholesale formula to actually learn how to do it first. So besides that, I would say between 2 and 5K would be a good start. Potentially you could start with lower, but then it's kind of hard, to like try to scale it and get it to run together. So I would say 2K would be probably the minimum I would start with for inventory, like for products themselves.
What do you think is the for you, like thinking back to when you were getting started and you went through the course and you were getting started the first couple of months, what do you say is like one of the biggest challenges for you? And for people who are looking to get started with wholesale, what is one of the hardest things that people kind of have to get past?
I mean, for me, it was probably the phone calls, like just to talk to people, because I don't know if you can tell, you can probably tell. So I'm from France. I got an accent, and 2.5 years ago, I had a bigger accent, and my English wasn't as great, not that it's great, but Uh,
You
so
sound good. You sound good to me, man.
it's if you can understand me, that's what matters. so so the thing is, when you realize it's just business, like it's not personal, nothing bad is gonna happen. You get someone on the phone and you're like, hey, can I buy your products? And that's what they do all day. It's their job is to actually sell products to people like you. So the only thing to do is like, hey, can I buy your stuff? And they're like, no. Then okay, well, why? It's like then it's just a conversation, and as soon as like then the edge you take the edge off, right? Because once you do it once and then you get rejected or something, or it goes well, it doesn't matter one or the other, but then your heart is racing, right? And you're like you're trembling, you don't know what to say because I didn't know any of the lingo, none of it. Like TWF teaches you like a lot of things, but then you get on the phone and they use terms you've never heard of, and I'm like, what do? Like it's either you give up and you're like, oh, okay, I don't know that term, so that's the end, or you say, hey, how about I ask? Because what's the worst that can happen? And then you ask the person like, hey, what do you mean? And maybe I'm going to look like a noob, but I'm going to look like a noob for the first time, and then the hundreds later that I'm going to call, I'm going to know that term from now on.
Mm.
So I would ask all the time, and that's where I got like super excited about it, because then you can call people and then you're going to learn something, so it's kind of cool.
So you said one of your biggest challenges was kind of getting over the fear of rejection, looking
Yeah,
like a noob. Nobody wants to like look like, hey, like I'm a newbie, I don't know what I'm doing, like a fake. But it's kind of the process, whether you're starting an
yeah.
eBay business or retail arbitrage, you're going to feel like that at one point or another. So you obviously have to get on the phone and start talking to people and calling these different suppliers. How do you exactly, let's take a couple steps back. How do you exactly start to locate like products and vendors and suppliers? Do you mind talking a little bit about that process?
Well, I just follow what TWF teaches, which is reverse sourcing. Um, and that's they explain the process from like A to Z. It's just the whole process is there. So there's nothing else really um, that comes to it. You just go on Amazon, look for product that sells, and contact the supplier. It's just the gist of it is that. Uh, so then there's techniques, there's tools, there's all that stuff that you can learn that you don't know, and so that comes in very handy, because otherwise you do everything manually and you're like you need to figure it out yourself, instead of just following someone who's done it for years at a time and been very successful at it. It's so much easier and faster. I
So you're
was
doing
Yeah, sorry.
I was going to say, so you're doing most of your research on Amazon because a lot of times you watch YouTube videos and people talk about all these fancy tools and softwares that you need to find hot selling products, especially with private label, but even wholesale. So you're saying you can do a lot of that stuff manually just on Amazon without really any, expensive tools
Well,
and stuff.
yeah, because what do the tools do? They just pull data from Amazon. That's all they do, and then they aggregate the data to show it to you in a better way or in a more smart way, right? But all they do is take data from Amazon. So if you don't know anything, and I didn't know anything when I started, I was on Amazon because I needed to learn how it works, right? And once you understand how it works, you're like, okay, now it's getting repetitive. How can I make it faster and have that data faster instead of me sifting through pages of pages and pages, and then make spreadsheets of data for one day and then data for the next day and the data for the next day, and you do that for 7 days and then you compare the data. You know what I'm saying? Like it takes a while and a lot of work to get that data. But I think it's kind of a little bit necessary, at least for me, because I kind of learn by doing. So so that was for me. But then once you get to the next level where you understand how it works, then all these tools come in very, very handy. And that's how I leverage them to get to 700K in sales to start, is by using tools, because by hands there's like no way for me to do it.
Right. Did you ever think that, when you first went through the program and you came out the other side, that you would do $700,000 in your first year? Because that seems
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
Yeah, I don't, yeah, I don't, it doesn't really. But yeah, I mean, there's no way. I don't like I did 1 million last year, and that's a big milestone for me. Um, and yeah, it's just crazy, man. When you think about it, it just took a leap of faith, right? And I was an employee for so long, and you get used to it, and the whole business side, I've never learned this. Like I didn't grow up in that environment. My parents have been employed by the same employer for like 40 years and then retired. And so it's like go to school, be nice, keep your head down, and find a job, not even a good one, and just try to find a
Mm.
job and keep it. And it's like I don't know, it just like the TWF was like this the stepping stone to a new universe. It's not even a new world, it's like a new universe. There is so much that I didn't know existed and that I know now because of TWF. Is crazy.
There's a lot of people who I don't know, I guess they don't really invest in themselves. They've been taught to do things on their own. Do you think it's possible, or do you recommend people try to start a wholesale business without going through a course? Or do you think that it's something that's kind of necessary? Like, do you think, like, your honest opinion, right? Do you think that you could have done it on your own? Or is it kind of something where there's a lot to know?
You can do everything on your own. There's people creating crazy stuff. They create rockets to go into space, right? So I mean, you can create anything on your own. The thing is how long is going to take you and how many mistakes are you going to make along the way.
Mm,
So it's up to you. If you want to do it on your own, and I mean, it took TWF, what was it, 8, 9 years now before, like since they started,
yeah.
they have a lot of experience and they put all that experience in one course for you to digest in like maybe a few weeks, right? So it's several years compressed into a few weeks. Um, so for me, like leveraging other people experience and success is definitely the way to go, which we've done because we expanded beyond Amazon today, doing e-commerce and doing other things. And I bought all the courses. We learned how to do other things than Amazon. We we took consultants that cost thousands an hour. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah.
and because of this, we were able, like we did 1 month on e-commerce. It was like 300 grand or something in like the first month. Like we just want to do something. We take a consultant. We pay thousands of dollars to get him, and then we get there. We apply what he says, and we get out with like 300 grand
Yeah.
in revenue. You know what I'm saying? It's just
You're
like
paying
that.
for
If I
results.
exactly. So it's the answer is yes. You can always start something by yourself, but do I would I recommend this if you're really serious about building a wholesale business and make it happen in 2019? I would say probably not.
Okay.
It's going to take so much trial and error.
What are the typical profit margins when it comes to wholesale? Because when it comes to selling on eBay, sometimes you can see 100 to 500% ROI. When you're doing retail arbitrage, 30 to 50% isn't uncommon. Private label, sometimes you're looking at 10, 15, 20%. It really just depends. What are the typical
Right.
profit margins that you found in your business or in similar models of wholesale?
If you want a good margin average, I would say 15.
Okay.
15% margin is would be solid, good, stable margin. I would not go below 10. I don't recommend anybody to go below 10 because then you over leverage yourself and you take too much risk on that product. So if stuff happens, then you can't really get your money back or something. And then if you have exclusives and like you control the supply chain and all that, I would say between 20 and 30 is something that's totally achievable. Um, um, but then like we're talking after ads, after expenses, like there's a lot that goes with it. So I'm gonna say gross margin, just the product, I would go 15 to 20. 20 would be better. And then after ads, after all that compounded, if you can do 15, that's really good.
Cool. Awesome. Do you think that anybody can get started with wholesale, or would you say that it's more geared towards a certain type of person? Because I know there's people watching right now who are getting excited, and there's people who have been doing retail arbitrage, eBay, flipping books, but they're looking for more of a scalable business
Yeah.
model, something that's more automated, something that doesn't necessarily become like an exchange of time. Like that's one of the downsides of like RA, OA,
Yeah.
selling on eBay is just you want to make more. It's you got to spend more time. You got to, hire a bunch of people, warehouse, all that stuff. What are your thoughts?
Um, I think that, I mean, I have no experience in business. So I started with zero experience and I'm not even born here. So English is not my first language. So I think I have more barriers than someone who's got English as his first language, right? And and who knows the culture. Because like there's some references that we have by email or phone. I don't get them. I can't joke about them because I don't understand, right? Uh, so so I think anybody can do it. And again, it's TWF just tells you how to do it. And so you don't have to like be crazy about it. Just follow the process, follow what they say, and apply it. And then it makes sense like by doing it. So I think anybody can do it if you have a computer, internet, and a phone. You're fine. That's all you need is that.
What advice would you give to somebody who, wants to start this business but doesn't know the best way to start? Again, going back to they have excuses. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. I don't think I can do it. I got bad grades when I was in school. My mom and dad said I wasn't smart enough, good enough. Like I dealt with issues like this when I was younger, when I started Emmerich business, is I had all these limiting beliefs. What
Right.
advice would you give to somebody who wants to start, but they're just like, I don't know the best way to start. I don't know if this is for me.
I mean, action trumps everything. Uh, I know it's there's doubts and everybody has doubts at every level. I have doubts today. I'm sure you do too. On everything that you do, especially when it's new to you. Uh, and I've I've never done business stuff before, so I didn't know how to do it. I had doubts, and I just followed whatever someone else did and taught me to do, and then you make your own idea. And so today, like the co-branded side is not part of like TWF, right? But like once you understand the principles, you can go one way or the other. You can do whatever you want with your business. You don't have to do exactly what they say, even though you can do 10 million with what they say. But just following what they say and just sourcing products and just doing wholesale, 10 million is just right here. It's right there. There's nothing in between, right? But then it's yeah, I understand. I'm trying to go back to when I bought the course, like right before, because with all the doubts and all that, and it's so it's 3 years ago now. So bear with me for a second. But there is no risk, really. Yeah, I know it's hard. It's a big phrase, but why did I do it? Why did I buy that course? Because they had a 30 at the time it was 30-day refund policy or something.
Yep.
And
Still
I
have
don't know if
that.
they still have it. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the what's the risk? I buy something, I invest in something today, and if in 30 days I don't see the value, I can just get a refund of it. So there's no liability, right? Because I can even use a credit card and I can get a refund before the statement. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's zero risk, right? And obviously, I didn't get a refund. I got way more than this,
Mm.
right? I got my like 100x or whatever it is. I didn't calculate the investment I made, right? So it's you have to take risks sometimes. It's not all like super safe, and it's hard to just do something new that is super safe. Um, so I would say just
Yeah.
go with it and take the risk and then see what happens because nothing really bad is going to happen.
Imagine if you would have just played it safe. Like thinking back, like I know we have a little outline that we're following, just some questions I'm asking him and stuff, but I want to ask this kind of off the record for everybody. Like, because I think of this all the time. Like, what if I didn't take the risk to like, I used to work at the Cracker Barrel and I was like a server and like I was hearing about people buying and selling on eBay and stuff. If I didn't take the risk, what would my life be like nowadays? Like, I don't
Right.
even know. Like, what would your life be like? I mean, just imagine going another 3 years of working your job or another 3 years of the
Same
same
place.
income. Like, it's just crazy how like that one decision for you, right, to
Yeah.
start your wholesale business, like literally like it changed your whole trajectory of your life. And like, how
Oh
many
yeah.
people here are watching with like limiting beliefs and like all these doubts and fears, but just don't realize like whether it's wholesale or private label or it's e-commerce, like you could be one decision away from changing your whole life. Like it's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. You can change your trajectory, like you said. Um, but you have to take action. That's the
Yeah.
only thing that can change a trajectory is action. So make a decision to change it. And that's the cool thing is like, again, you change it, doesn't work, you can go back to where you were before.
Mm.
It's not
That's
like,
what they don't teach in school. They don't teach you that, but it's real life when you go into business. Like you could always go back to the safe spot.
yeah, it's fine. Like,
It's always waiting there for you.
right. And the thing is like by having someone who's done it before, by having the support of thousands of people now in the group, right, who can really help you. I asked so many questions when I started. It was ridiculous. And I was always posting questions in that group all the time. And I was trying to interact with people. And I met people who are friends today who were very successful people. And then your your friends become like higher. I know it sounds mean, but like higher level in business. And then you hang out with people who are more successful and you learn from them and they learn from you as well. And you can share that. And then everybody elevates everybody. And I know it seems like La Vie en Rose and stuff, like,
Right,
like
right.
a fairy tale, but it's what it is. It's so yeah, I mean, it's like they will prevent you to make huge mistakes. Like you need to buy. When I bought for like 20 grand or something, I didn't buy like this. I mean, kind of did, but like you ask advice, you call, you
Yeah.
post, you're like, hey, I'm getting this, because you don't have to act like right away. If someone says, oh, it's now or never, it's like you're gonna wait until tomorrow. And then you go back home, you post in the groups like, I got that deal right now. This is what it is. What do you guys think? And then you got dozens of people answering with their experience. And then instead of making a big mistake by spending tens of thousands of dollars on something, or thousands or hundreds, it doesn't matter what level you are on, but whatever is significant for you at the time, then you have other perspectives of people, and then that prevents you
Yeah.
to make these mistakes. And it goes back to what you said. Can you start by yourself? Yes. Can you avoid these mistakes by yourself? Maybe. That's a maybe. But there is mistakes you're not going to be, and there is mistakes even with support, you're going to go and you're going to fall through it. I did.
Yeah.
Like it's and you learn from it, and it's okay.
So what's your business like nowadays? I know we're getting to the end of the call, but
Okay.
what's it like in Emmerich's life right now? You're running at seven figure, you've scaled it to over seven figures. Are you in a warehouse all day long? Are you working 60 hours a week? Are you 100% passive? Like, I know we haven't really dug in deep and I want to kind of build a little more context.
Sure.
Obviously, you've been doing this for 3 years, so you've been building it up for a while, but what's it like in an average day for Emmerich running his wholesale business?
Well, today I'm going to say for the week, it's maybe 2 hours a week to run this business.
Two
For
hours?
me,
I wasn't
for
expecting
me,
that little.
yeah. I mean, there is the VAs that run it. So the only thing I have to do is pay and pay the supply. I mean,
Do you have a
manage
warehouse or anything?
manage the money. No,
So
we
you're using
ship
prep
direct.
centers.
No, we ship direct from suppliers.
Oh, I didn't even know you can do that because I know Dan and
Yeah,
Eric, they're using prep centers, but you're actually
right.
shipping directly from.
I used prep centers too. I never had a warehouse. That was a no for me to
Mm.
have a warehouse. So I never wanted a warehouse. I wanted to be able to build this business from this room.
So you put the deals
I didn't have the
together.
room at the time, actually.
Yeah, so you put the deals together in your room on the
Yeah.
laptop. You put the deals together. Obviously, you're sourcing the products, working with the vendors, and then you're
Yeah.
shipping directly, essentially, either to a prep center, and then it kind of directs to the FBA warehouse. You're going directly from supplier to Amazon
Right.
FBA, and you're not even having to touch it.
No.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, it's
Yeah. No, I don't
that's
want
why
to
I
touch the
love doing
product.
these videos. Oh no,
Yeah,
I
because
get
I
it.
did OA, right? I did OA. I was living in an apartment. I had so many boxes for USPS in the stairs that it was taking half the apartment to make them, right? And so I know what it feels like. And every person who's done eBay or FBA but prep themselves for Amazon and all that, they know what I'm talking about.
Pain in the
Is
butt.
it's a pain in the butt. And so I didn't want this. So I'm glad I tested it because I know what I don't want to do, right? But then, yeah, the goal is just try to leverage other people. And yes, it costs money. It's either time or money, usually, right? So you choose either you want to spend your time and then you pay yourself $10 an hour or 5 or 8, or you spend the money and then you spend your time doing stuff that's high level and that can bring more money to the business, right? So that's pretty much what it is. But yeah, like we don't touch the products.
That's awesome, man. Well, there you go. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed this video. Literally, Emmerich went from taking the wholesale formula, zero business experience, all the excuses in the world, to now scaling from 700,000 first year to 750 to now over 7 figures. So definitely an inspirational story. Appreciate your transparency and sharing some of the ups and downs of the journey. And hopefully this video is able to inspire, motivate, get you guys a little bit educated around the wholesale model. And yeah, if you guys want to take the next step, I would highly recommend checking out the wholesale formula. And that is the program that Emmerich was talking about. So if you check the link down in the description, you can join. Now, this program is only open for 1 week during the year. It used to be open twice a year, Emmerich. And now this year, they're only doing it for 1 week, all of 2019. And that's not just a
Yeah.
marketing ploy. You could ask Emmerich, he missed it. And did they let you in?
Oh yeah. No, they didn't. I was pissed.
So yeah, if you guys want to check it out, there's a link below. And I'm also throwing in a free $2,000 bonus as well. So if you click that link, you can check it out. And hopefully this video inspired you guys. Emmerich, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming on and sharing your story.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for your time too.
All right. Thanks, Emmerich. And thanks everybody for watching. If you have any more questions, feel free to drop a comment down below. But if you enjoyed this, like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.